Hey guys, how's it going? Cyrus here again. Welcome to another episode of the Boxica podcast. Today's episode is all about muscle building. Okay, we're going to get into some tips and things you can implement for building and maintaining the all-important muscle mass. And before we get into that though, I want to mention a few announcements. Tomorrow's Friday, I'm recording this on a Thursday, we are launching the new outdoor fitness space. Super excited to get into this. So 3 days a week is going to be strength workouts. Ties in nicely to today's subject of muscle building. Okay, so the strength workouts are going to be around 50 minutes. And you're going to be lifting weights. Picking stuff up, putting stuff down. Okay, that is going to be the theme. Full body workouts. Working all the muscles. Getting in a routine. Slowing it down a little bit. And really getting into what we're going to talk about today in the strength days. And then the sweat days, the other 3 days a week, are going to be just all out, burn as many calories as possible, get your cardio, super high, burning and sweating. Okay, so we've got strength days 3 days a week, sweat days 3 days a week, and obviously there's not 6 days in a week. 1 day a week is going to be our crazy workout day, where it's going to be an hour-long blast of everything, strength and sweat, and that's going to be on a Friday. Okay, so Friday is going to be that high calorie burn day. It is Friday for a reason. We do consume more calories on a Friday, so hey, it makes sense to burn more. Second announcement that I want to make today is the new smoothies that we're getting. Woohoo! New smoothies. Wow. I went with Claire. We've partnered up with someone who's going to be creating our smoothies. Well, they've already been created. We went down for a tasting session, and we're going to be launching the 6 new smoothies. We're going to be launching 2 of them tomorrow. I believe it's the Breakfast Blast and the Tropical Pina Colada. Okay, so there's the 2 smoothies that are coming out tomorrow, and then more are going to come in the future when we do move into the new healthy cafe that we're opening in the same building soon. That's it for the announcements, guys. So let's get into this muscle building podcast. First of all, I want to talk a little bit about training for muscle building. I've got some questions from Instagram from last night. I'll be getting into those at the very end of this podcast. For now, let's get into the training aspect of it. So, a few different ways of looking at this. We've got training for muscle building. First of all, times per week, so frequency. What is the optimal training frequency per week in order to grow muscle mass? Well, first of all, I just want to get something clear. Like, not many people listening to this, you shouldn't have a goal. I say you shouldn't have. You can have whatever goal you want, but I found that when you have a goal of just gaining muscle mass, you're like, my sole purpose with training right now is to gain muscle and nothing else. You have to sacrifice a lot of things to do that, and I wouldn't recommend having a training program which is just purely on muscle mass. It might work for some people, a lot of people do it, but I wouldn't recommend it. Okay, because you're going to sacrifice things like your mobility and your cardio, and your diet's going to have to be a specific way, and I'll get into my experience with doing this later, but it's better to have an overall training program and, stay lean, you gain a bit of muscle, don't lose your cardio, don't lose your mobility, don't lose your athletic ability in the pursuit of just purely building muscle. But training frequency can vary. I mean, let's say, as a general guide, 2 days a week for training is like maintaining. So if you want to make progress in your goal, whether it's to gain muscle, lose fat, or anything else, you've got to train more than 2 times a week. 2 times a week is maintaining your fitness level. Okay, you can maintain muscle mass at training two times a week. You could do full body training twice a week, hit all the muscles, go big or go home kind of workouts twice a week. Boom, done. You will maintain the current muscle mass that you have. Then moving more into like 3 to 5 days a week is really where you want to start making progress, and you can make progress training 3 days a week, and you can make progress training 5 days a week, depending on your schedule and everything else that you're doing. So I'll give you a couple of examples on the 3 to 5 days a week training. So 3 days a week can be, and this is what we're going to be doing with the strength workouts, can be full body, right? So you go in the gym, let's say, for example, Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, and you hit all muscles of the body. All right, and that will work. You can grow muscle doing that. Another example, let's go 6 days a week. You could do push-pull legs, push-pull legs. So you're doing all the push upper body exercises in the body, chest, shoulders, triceps. Then you're doing pull, back, biceps. And then you're doing legs, right, all lower body. And then you go again, push-pull legs. Then you take a day off. So that'll be 6 days a week. 5 days a week, you can split it up as well. Like, something that's very common, and I see way too many people doing this, is like going to the gym as a regular guy or girl and doing a chest day, right? And that's going to be your only chest day for a week. And you obliterate your chest in an hour. You do like thousands of different exercises, and you make sure that your chest is like done. And then you spend a week recovering, then you hit it again. That's probably not optimal for someone that's not a bodybuilder, that's taking drugs and everything else that comes with that. Back in the day when you'd read the fitness magazines, you would see these routines that these bodybuilders were doing, and it was like that, a chest day, a back day. That's not optimal for people that are not bodybuilders, okay? So don't do that kind of routine. So 3 to 6 days building muscle, and then 3 to 5 days. 6 days a week you can train to build muscle mass, but I would say, if you're lifting weights, training 6 days a week heavily, you've got to have some good genetics, some good recovery, and your diet and your sleep's going to have to be on point for that. I'd probably recommend for the average trainee 2 days rest per week. And it doesn't mean sitting on your ass. Go out for a light walk, jog, anything cardio based. Have fun. Don't play any like extreme sports or anything, or football or something like that. That would class as an actual training session. It's quite intense, but do you know what I mean? Do some light yoga, something like that. 5 days a week seems to be the sweet spot. 6 days a week, some people can handle absolutely fine, but listen to your body more importantly, okay? If you want to grow muscle mass and just be like, optimally growing muscle mass, if you're really sore all the time, you're not sleeping properly, you're not eating properly, you're achy, it's taking you 2-3 days to recover from training sessions, you probably need to relook at your program and be like, let me adjust something here. I feel like people take way too long to adjust. They get this idea in their head, I'm going to train 6 days a week. Boom, let's kill it. And then 2 weeks into it, they're a walking zombie because they're training too much. Bring it back, adjust, listen to your body, feel it. So that's the training aspect in terms of frequency. All right. So generally, 3 to 5 days is perfect. Rep ranges, right? All rep ranges help build muscle mass or build muscle mass. Okay. 1 rep up to 25 reps, up to 100 reps if you want. I mean, they all grow muscle. An optimal rep range for building muscle mass is the 8 to 12 rep range. Okay, you still build muscle doing 7, you still build muscle doing 6, and you still build muscle doing 13 reps or 15 reps. Okay, strength is usually in the 1 to 5 rep range. So if you really just want to get stronger, you want your muscles, for example, a squat, you want to get a stronger back squat. Let's say 1 to 5 reps is going to make you stronger. It's not to say that 12 reps isn't going to make you stronger. It will, but optimally training to get stronger, lower rep ranges. Okay, 1 to 5. Then 8 to 12, building muscle. So doing 8 to 12 reps will help you grow that all-important muscle mass. And then 15 and above, and that kind of range is more like muscular endurance, so building endurance. But all rep ranges will help you grow muscle mass. Okay, so example, optimally, let's talk about squats. We just spoke about it, right? If you want to build muscle in your legs, your quads, your glutes, your hamstrings, and you feel like back squat is a good exercise for you, you would do 3 to 4 sets of 8 to 12 reps of back squat. Nice, slow, controlled reps, feeling that burn, and that's where you're going to get the optimal muscle growth. Resting 1 to 2 minutes between sets as a guide. Okay, and then so we talked about frequency in the week, talked about rep ranges. Now let's talk about the most important aspect of training when it comes to building muscle mass and progressing, and that is progressive overload. What is progressive overload? Progressive overload is you go into the gym, you do your 4 sets of 8 to 12 back squats at, example, 40 kilos, right? 40 kg. The last 2 to 3 reps of each set is quite tough for you, so you don't think you can do that much more weight, although you're doing good form, you're resting your 1 to 2 minutes. The next week you go into the gym, you're hitting the legs again, and you do 4 sets of 8 to 12 at 42.5 kg, right? So now you've just overloaded again, you've gone more. You've done more weight in the next session, okay? Let's stay on this example of progressive overload with this. The third week you go into the gym, you've done 40 kg the first week, 42.5 kg the second week. The third week you do 45 kilos on a back squat. Boom, you're progressively overloading again. You're adding more weight. You're doing something different than what you did before. The fourth week you go in the gym, you put 47.5 kg on, you do your reps, but you feel like you do the reps, you finish it, it's fine, your form was good, nice, but then you start feeling like you've maybe not recovered as fast as you did before. 47.5 kg was really tough. Then on the fifth week, you take a rest. Okay, so you progressive overload for 4 weeks, increase. The fifth week, you're still training, but you do back squats at 30 kilos. Right, so you're nowhere near your maximum for that rep range on the deload week, giving your muscles, your connective tissue, your body a chance to rest, and your nervous system. And then again, you go in the gym and you progressive overload it again. Obviously not doing the exact same weights. Hopefully you would start on one of the higher weights that you did. And then again, you go. And then, so every 3 to 4 weeks, you take a deload week. And then when you're training, you're progressively overloading those weights. And unless it will still work if you don't write your weights down. But optimally building muscle, it's better if you keep a record so you can accurately progressive overload as you go through the program. And periodization is you're periodizing your training. So I'm going to do 4 weeks progressive overload, 1 week rest, then I'm going to change my program and do something different for 4 weeks, take a week off, and you just keep periods of training with the progressive overload. That's how optimally you gain muscle mass. Okay. Mind-muscle connection is something else that needs to be addressed when it comes to building muscle. When you're lifting the weights and you're trying to grow muscle, put your mind in the muscle. Like Arnold Schwarzenegger, I think, was the first person to talk about this. Think about the muscle, put your mind in the muscle. For example, if you're doing those squats that we've used as an example, think about your legs when you're doing it. Feel that burn. Go slowly. Like that kind of training is really good for growing muscle mass. Don't rush it. Take your time, breathe, and feel that burn. Yeah, embrace the pain. Mind-muscle connection. Put your mind in that muscle. Feel it contracting. Another one I'll mention for building muscle mass is the concentric and the eccentric part of the move. So let's use the example of back squats again. The concentric aspect of that lift, the concentric portion of it is going up, right? From the bottom, pushing up in the back squat. The eccentric portion of that lift is going down. A lot of people disregard the eccentric portion of a lift because I don't know why, but it's extremely important to focus on both aspects, right? So a lot of training, example, for building muscle will be tempo training. So you're doing a back squat, you've got, let's say, 50 kilos on your back, you push up, it takes you a second to get to the top, you take a breath, you come down, it takes you 3 seconds to come down. 3, 2, 1. You hit the bottom of the squat, you drive back up quickly, 1 second, you come back down, 3, 2, 1. Going slower on the eccentric portion, if you've never done eccentric training before, is super for gaining muscle mass. Okay, slow on the way down. One more example of the tempo with concentric and eccentric, focusing on both aspects of the lift. A bicep curl, right? Coming up to squeeze at the top is a concentric. You're squeezing, you're contracting. Boom, up. On the way down is the eccentric portion. Now, a lot of people will squeeze on the way up and then just drop the arms coming down. No, take it down slowly. Control it. Take 2-3 seconds. Feel the burn. Hit that full extension. Boom, back up to the top. I am a big, I love full range reps, me personally. I like to do the full. I think if you're going to do a movement, do it. But also partial reps has a place in training as well for building muscle. So does everything. Yeah, there's a lot of people are like, no, you shouldn't train like that. Man, every kind of training works. Lightweight, heavyweight, medium weight, high reps, low reps, any kind of fitness equipment that you can get your hands on, it all works. Okay, all has a place. So I like to stay away from like wrong or right when it comes to these things. But today's podcast is about building muscle, so we'll stick with the subject, and we'll keep you on what's optimal for building muscle mass. That's about it for training. Number 2, second aspect of this, what I'm going to talk about is the nutrition. Okay, so super important, okay, is nutrition. As with fat loss, okay, abs are made in the kitchen. Muscles actually build when you're recovering, and you're eating, and you're sleeping, not when you're actually doing the movement itself, right? When you're training, that's just a stimulus, then your body will adapt and grow muscle mass. So, nutrition super important. Now, a lot of people think protein is like, you need to eat masses of protein when you want to build muscle. That's probably not true. Looking at 1 gram per pound of body weight is about good enough for gaining muscle. Okay, you could go like to 1.2, something like that, but I'd say that was probably the max. Again, for the everyday person, general, putting people in the general category here of us people, not like professional bodybuilders or physique athletes or anything like that, or like professional athletes. 1 gram per pound of body weight protein is enough. Carbs are super important for gaining muscle, like really important. And it's probably more important to have much higher carbs for a lot of people than it is to have like super ridiculously high protein. So carbohydrates is something that you probably want a good 40% or more, 40 to 50% of your diet to come from carbohydrates when building muscle. Yeah, and fats are obviously important. Regardless of what your goal is, you need to eat a decent amount of healthy fats. Say like around 50 grams would probably be the minimum that I would like to see people on. If you're a bit smaller, 40, but healthy fats are going to help you hormonally as well when you're trying to gain muscle. So decent amount of protein, 1 gram per pound of body weight, 40 to 50% of your calories to be from carbs, healthy carbs as much as you can, but don't eat healthy all the time because you get bored. And then decent amount of healthy fats, like I said, 50 grams, 40 grams would probably be the minimum I'd want to have someone on, depending on how big you are and how, obviously a bigger person would have more calories, more fats. So there you go. Calories, super important aspect of gaining muscle. If you're not eating enough food, you're not going to gain muscle, right? So if you're in deficit, you can gain muscle if you're in a calorie deficit over a long period of time, but in the moment, it's probably not going to be optimal for you. Gaining muscle mass, you don't need that many calories extra than what your maintenance is, right? So if my maintenance is 2,000 calories a day, and I want to really like pack on some muscle, someone that's not taking drugs and just like trying to do it naturally and just a fit and healthy person, 50 to 100 calories a day more, up to 150, max 200, I'm going to get into how much muscle you can actually build in a month. So if you're gaining more weight than what you can on average gain of muscle mass in a month, it means that you're getting fat, and that's what we don't want to do. We want to build muscle, not fat. Okay, so 50 to some genetically gifted people can eat 500 calories more a day and not get fat. I mean, that's great, good for you. If I eat in a 500 calorie surplus every day, I'm getting fat. Okay, and I don't believe in gaining muscle mass in the expense of gaining fat as well. Like, I don't want fat on my body, thank you very much. I'll take the muscle mass, the nice lean toned muscle. I will not take the blobby fat with it. So for me, I always recommend to people being a small calorie surplus. Like the calorie surplus, like 50 calories a day, that's, you can't really track that. It's a very small amount of food. I mean, what are you going to do? Eat half an apple a day more? I mean, it's very small. So for most people, calorie-wise, eating your maintenance calories is probably going to do it for gaining muscle mass naturally. All right. Here we go. There's the nutrition. Meal frequency is something to touch on when it comes to muscle building because bodybuilders eat every 3 hours, and that is the most optimal way, the extreme way of gaining muscle. If you're going to gain muscle mass optimally, like a bodybuilder, 3 hours, eating every 3 hours is probably what you want to do. But eating every 3 hours for the everyday person is hard and a pain in the ass, so we won't go with that. Meal frequency, if you eat 3 meals and 2 snacks in a day, you try and spread them evenly throughout the day, you're going to cover 90%, 95% of what you need to build muscle mass. eat your maintenance calories, stick with a nice balanced diet, not too much of any macronutrient, 3 meals, 2 snacks, or whatever. I mean, it might be 5 meals a day. You might eat every 3 hours. It might be 2 meals a day and 2 snacks. I mean, it doesn't really matter as long as you're like, okay, in general, I'm spacing my meals evenly throughout the day. It's worth mentioning as well, like intermittent fasting also works with muscle building. I mean, you can fast for 16 hours a day if you want, and then spread your meals inside your 8-hour eating window. It works. But optimally, just spread your meals out throughout the day. Don't go to any extreme with anything. All right. You don't have to take a meal directly after working out to build muscle. That's a load of nonsense. If you just have a nice balanced meal, an hour and a half, within an hour and a half of your training session, you're going to get all the recovery you need from that. Okay. So there's nutrition. Oh, just quickly on nutrition. I get my meals from a meal plan company called Pura, and I've done that for a couple of years. Before that, I was with another meal plan company. I haven't really cooked my own food like on a daily basis for about 5-6 years. That works for me. I just like waking up in the morning, getting my box of food, and just cracking on for the day. So there's no thought process involved. I just eat what's in the box. Boom, done. If anyone is interested in getting on the Pura meal plan or any other meal plan in Dubai, feel free to Instagram me, WhatsApp me, whatever you want. Talk to me in the studio. Happy to get you set up. I am a ambassador for Pura, obviously. They actually give me free food. I get free food every month. Yes, for doing stuff like this, talking about them. But it doesn't have to be Pura. Like if I'm not the type of person that's going to just will you into Pura if you don't like the food. Although Pura's food is amazing. That's why I've been with them for so many years and turned down other people that want me to get on their meal plan service. But if it's another meal plan that you want to get on, I'm happy to help you, give you advice, and get you set up so you've got the calories and the meals that you need for gaining muscle mass if that's what you want to do. Here we go. Next aspect of this is recovery. Yeah, recovery is like really when you're building muscle, right? So you go to the gym, you train hard, you get a good pump, you do your workout, and then after the gym, that's when really you're going to build muscle. So are you sleeping enough? Right? We've talked about sleep a lot in the other podcasts. Are you sleeping optimally? Are you letting your body rest? Are you drinking enough water? Okay, so you've got your training down, you've got your food down, but if you're not sleeping and resting and recovering enough, forget it. You're not going to grow muscle mass. So a massively overlooked aspect of this, people think, go to the gym, train hard, do a big workout, okay, eat big, and then you're not sleeping properly. You ain't going to gain muscle mass. Super important aspect, okay? So bear that in mind. Sleep optimally. Make sure you get your rest in, and make sure you get your rest in 7 days a week if you want to optimally grow muscle. Sleep on the same time. None of this like 5 days little goody, and then on the weekends having 3 hours of sleep because you're out partying with alcohol and everything. That's not going to cut it for muscle building. All right. That's as much as I want to say about the recovery. And so I really want to get into a few aspects here. Like if your goal is to gain muscle, and I'm going to say it out, and then I'll give you some advice. Look, if you've been training less than 2 years, naturally the amount of muscle mass you can gain in a month is 2 to 3 pounds. Okay, so if you're gaining more than 1 kilo a month in weight, if you've been training less than 2 years, you're getting fat. 2 to 4 years training experience, you can gain 1 to 2 pounds of muscle per month. Okay, let's use the lowest number, 1 pound, half a kilo a month in gain in muscle mass. If you've been training 2 to 4 years, and the advanced people that have been training 5 years plus and have really adapted to training, you're looking at half a pound per month in muscle gain. Half a pound would be very difficult to track. Even a pound would be difficult with the fluctuations, unless you're going to stand on the scales every single day consistently at the same time and you work out your average and everything else, which I'm sure a lot of you are too busy to do. So my point is on this that, if you've got excess fat to lose, it's not really an excuse to say, I'm gaining muscle. I'm gaining muscle. It is to a certain extent. I mean, yes, you are gaining muscle, but the amount of muscle that you can gain in a month is actually very little. So just bear that in mind. Like, let's say on average, let's use the lower number, right? So 2 to 4 years training. I feel like most people have been training, 2 to 4 years. 1 to 2 pounds per month of muscle. You could probably stick with the lower end of that. Genetically gifted people go in the higher end of that. 1 pound, roughly half a kilo of gains if you're training, eating, sleeping optimally for muscle building, right? Right, let's get into supplements. A few of the questions that I had were on supplements as well. So really, it's like, first of all, I'm not a doctor. I can't prescribe supplements to people, but I can advise, and this is just advice, and this is just from my experience. Creatine is good and has been shown to help build muscle mass. So creatine monohydrate would be the creatine of choice, and you can keep it simple. Take 5 grams a day. Do that for about 25 days. You're going to be saturated in it, so it'll start working properly, and your body and your muscles and everything will be saturated with it after about 25 days. A protein shake is something that you can take if you're not getting enough protein from your food. Okay, so best off you getting all your protein from your food, not taking a shake. But if you want a protein shake in your diet to make up for, a lot of people find it hard to eat 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight, which would be the fat loss amount of protein as well. Fat loss and muscle building, 0.8 to 1.2 gram per pound of body weight. A lot of people find it hard to eat that amount of protein from food, right? You're chewing on chicken breasts, animal proteins, you're getting in your vegetable proteins as well. Whatever it is, it's a lot. So a protein shake is convenient. It only works if you're making up a deficit. More protein shakes won't give you more muscle, right? If you're going over and above the numbers that I give you before. I take EPA and DHA, not really specifically for muscle building, but a good high quality fish oil, which is the EPA and DHA. Magnesium, super important for recovery and muscle building. When you sleep, you go into a deeper sleep when you take magnesium, and you'll recover better, right? Because that's the whole thing we spoke about, sleep and rest. So I'll take 400 milligrams of magnesium before I sleep. The type of magnesium is super important, and with the magnesium and with all the rest of the supplements, let me finish the supplement line, and then I'll tell you where to get them from and my advice. Zinc is another one that you can take for muscle building. You've got to be very careful with the doses that you take, though. I personally have done this before. I read an article once about high zinc intake, and I started taking something ridiculous like 80 or 100 grams. Was it milligrams or grams or whatever it was? It was 22, around 20 was the recommended. I was taking 100, okay? I think it was milligrams per day. Yeah, it was milligrams. Of course it was. 20 grams would be a lot. I started taking, was it 80 or 100 or whatever it was, like 5 tablets of zinc, and my testosterone shot through the roof, like initially, because that's what zinc does. It's linked to testosterone, and it went up, but what goes up must come down, or in the body's case, your estrogen will react to the testosterone, and estrogen went up, and it just got a little bit weird for a bit with the very high zinc intake. So you've got to be careful with the dosing of all these. Zinc is a low-dose supplement. Vitamin D is another one that really does a lot of different things in the body, and is quite a very important supplement. Let's say that. But with all these supplements that I've mentioned, the fish oil, the magnesium, the zinc, the vitamin D, the creatine, it's definitely worth checking with your doctor before you go into any of these and getting the proper recommendations for dosing. And if you are going to go out there and buy these supplements, there's a brand called Thorne Research, Thorne. Thorne make high quality supplements, and so I get most of my supplements from Thorne if I'm going to take any of these, which are currently out of this list. I do take a protein shake. I don't take creatine. I do take Thorne's EPA and DHA. I take magnesium. I just ran out of magnesium. I'm waiting for it to arrive from iHerb. And not taking zinc, and I am taking vitamin D. What I'll do with vitamin D is on the days that I don't get too much sun or feel like I haven't been in sun for a while, I'll pop a 5,000 IU vitamin D, and I will go from there. Like say, if I'm not going in the sun for 3-4 days, then I won't. I'll take my vitamin D. Sorry. Then if I go a couple of days, maybe go to the beach, or I'm in the sun a lot, then I won't take my vitamin D, and I'll just play it like that. I mean, I'm just guessing really. With all these supplements, the proper way of doing it is getting a blood test and seeing what you're deficient in, and then taking the necessary supplements for that. What was the... I went to see the blood test just quickly on that. Dr. Shafali from the biomedicine... I'll link it in the show notes if you want to get your blood test done. I went there. Dr. Shafali sorted me out with this a few years ago. Did a full panel of blood. Took 12 vials or something out of me and ran them all through and given me like a proper booklet with all the breakdown of everything that I should be taking and all that good stuff. So if you really want to get into your supplements, that's the best way to do it. I'll link it up in the show notes. Right, so this is it. This is where the magic is for me. We're talking about lean gains now. Lean gains. What's lean gains? It's building muscle mass whilst maintaining a lean physique, right? So this is how I like to advise people. You want to gain muscle mass, but you're carrying a little bit of extra body fat. Shift the body fat first, right? You're overweight. You're carrying body fat, which is going to actually stop you from. It's going to decrease you. What's the word I'm looking for? It's going to. You're not in an optimal place if you've got excess body fat on your body and you want to gain muscle mass. Okay, you're not in an optimal place physiologically. It's better to lose a little bit of body fat, get nice and lean, and then slowly but surely gain muscle over time. Okay, that's my advice. Anyone that's carrying a bit of chub, I want to gain muscle. You can gain muscle while you're also dieting. Over like a 6-month period, you will gain muscle mass even in a deficit. But prioritize. Get rid of the fat first. Be fit and healthy, enjoy your body, and then slowly but surely gain muscle mass over time. A lot of people think they want more muscle than they actually do, right? A lot of guys especially, they see these models and stuff, they're like, I want to look like that, so they start lifting silly weights and doing stupid things. I mean, this is the next part of this was going to talk about my experience gaining muscle. I've been down this road. I hired a bodybuilding coach, right? I was eating 3,500 to 4,000 calories a day. I was doing 5 days a week heavy bodybuilding training. And I'm telling you, the sacrifice for that is not worth it. It's not worth being big. You don't feel athletic anymore. Your mobility goes. Your cardio goes through, down. You get tired walking upstairs. Right now I'm around 76 kilos. I was 89 kilos, I think, at one point at my highest, and I was just like struggling to tie my shoelaces kind of thing. It's not worth it. It's not worth being that big, in my opinion. It's better to have a balance, keep your mobility, keep your cardio, stay lean, and just have an all-round athletic, with building muscle. That's important to be athletic, to have muscle, but it's all about balance for me. Ladies, you do not get, I think most ladies know this already, but lifting weights as a woman, it's not going to make you huge. Some girls do have different genetics and they do grow muscle mass faster, but generally lifting weights is not going to make you big and bulky. Overeating food makes you big and bulky, right? The old school way of doing it, the bodybuilders, they want to gain weight, they'll be in a 1,500 calories to 1,000 calorie surplus per day. That is just an excuse to eat way too much food. You're not optimally gaining muscle at that point. You're just gaining fat. It's just an excuse to get the calories in. Okay, so ladies, you don't get bulky lifting weights. You get bulky eating too many calories. And lifting weights will help you stay lean, strong, toned, and looking great. Right, here we go. Questions. Just going to go on my Instagram over here and check out all the questions that people sent me. First one, I won't name these people. I'll just answer the questions. Supplements and if they are really required for muscle building. Supplements I've talked about. Are they really required for muscle building? Nope. You can gain muscle without supplements. They're not absolutely required, but you will get an extra little boost from things like creatine, and magnesium. And if you're not taking enough protein from food, getting your protein shake in as well. But they're not necessary for building muscle mass. You can do it without. Next question. Does bicep curling in the squat rack improve gains? No, it doesn't improve gains. If you bicep curl in a squat rack, you won't gain any muscle mass. It's a weird physiological response to doing bicep curls in a squat rack. So don't do curls in a squat rack. Let people squat in the squat rack. Do your curls in another part of the gym. Okay? Here we go. Should one do cardio before or after weightlifting? You can also, should one do gym before or after boxing? Well, boxing would be classed as cardio, like pure boxing. If you're referring to a boxing class, that's a bit different because you do weights and boxing in the same class. By the way, my own personal training, like what I've been doing, all the weights that I've been lifting the last, I would say 6 months has come from, or like 4 months has come from the Boxica classes. The muscle I have or I don't have is all from the program. Cardio is best done after, if you're going to choose, because you want your nervous system and your mind to be fresh when you're focusing and lifting muscles, right? You're lifting weight, it can get, you want to focus. You want to be focused and fresh when you're lifting weights. So in that way, do your weights first, then do your cardio. Some people do it the other way around. Also fine. But best to do your weights first, then your cardio, right? If you have a choice, do that way around, or, mix them together. Do weights faster. There, you're getting your cardio in and your weights. Do a Boxica class, boxing and weights together. There's no real right or wrong, but to answer the question, you always probably want to try, if you're going to do a full body weightlifting session, to do that first before you do the cardio. Boxing, the pure boxing would be cardio. So if you're going to do boxing, I'd say do the weights first, then do boxing after it. And then another question here: what should one eat between muscle building session and boxing? Anything you want. If you are going to do, a session, let's say you're going to do 2 sessions a day, train your weights in the morning, go about your day, eat whatever you want, when you want, as you normally would, and then in the evening do a boxing session. If you're going to do weights and boxing together, do the weights and then go straight into the boxing. Between it, if you want to eat something, it's fine. If you don't want to eat, it's also fine. As an athlete, it's different. If you were an athlete asking me, and you were saying, right, I'm going to do this session here, then this session here, then it'd have to be like, food would have to be portioned out properly. You'd have to take, lots of different types of electrolytes maybe. You'd have liquid carbohydrates and stuff like this. But for the everyday person, it doesn't matter. Whatever feels good, do that. How many grams of protein and carbs? I already spoke about that. That is it for the questions. Okay, guys, we're done. Thank you for listening. Very excited to get into the outdoor space tomorrow with Claire and train some of you guys. Full body strength. Any questions about anything I spoke about, please hit me up in the studio, on WhatsApp, on Instagram, any way you want. And we'll chat soon. Thank you.